Hey everyone, how's it going? You're listening to another episode of Read, Watch, Listen. I'm Chris Barnes from East Brunswick Public Library. This is a podcast where we talk to people in our library, whether you're customers, workers, or our peers in library land, about what you've been reading, watching, and listening. Our special guest today is a Senior Adult Services Librarian at Piscataway Public Library. You may also know her because she is the New Jersey Library Association president, Carina Gonzalez. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so Carina, you probably have a ton of recommendations.
I do, but I've tried to limit them to just a couple in each category.
Let's talk about the read. Carina, what have you been reading lately?
So two things that I would definitely want to recommend are Women's War by Jenna. It is high epic fantasy. The concept is magic is performed, resulting in women only being able to give birth if they want to. And then the explosive political ramifications of that in a medieval setting where succession and the next heir are more important than anything else. The next one is Project Hail Mary by Weir. I just finished that one. That one was absolutely delightful because it's appropriate for all readers. It's a feel-good science fiction story that I hope becomes a movie one day and is a lot of fun for those of us who really like hard science fiction and really know our science.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. What is hard science fiction?
So my favorite genres are in the speculative category, that is the larger umbrella, under which is usually fantasy, science fiction, and sometimes horror and supernatural or paranormal. Science fiction can either be on the lighter end, think like Star Wars, which is sort of fantasy and science fiction put together. And then you have hard science fiction, where a lot of the text deals with actual science. And if you don't understand the actual science, you will lose some of the plot. The real science is almost a character in the story in and of itself.
So what you're trying to tell everyone who's listening is that whimsical robots like R2-D2 who can emote and get sad and happy depending on the situation, it's not the type of science fiction you tend to gravitate towards.
Not true. I'm a Star Wars fan as well, but I do prefer Star Trek.
Oh, okay. We can still be friends. Who's your favorite Star Trek bad guy? Or bad woman, I should say.
Bad guy. That's a good question. I'd say my favorite is neither good nor bad, but I like Q.
Okay, we're friends again. It's such a great character, and John Delancey just makes him awesome. So,
yeah. And I don't know if you are up on the latest, but Q was able to come back in Picard, and that was a lot of fun to watch.
I did see that. That was an OMG moment. I may have spilt my cup of Doritos on myself. Because it's a lot easier. I have a toddler at home, so when we watch TV, sometimes I find it's easier to keep things in longer things like a glass for like snack food, because then she can't go in and dump it. But I was like, oh my God, he's back. And I got Doritos all over myself anyway, but it was totally worth it.
Totally worth it.
So that's fun. So I guess we're going to segue now into watching things, because with the nice television connection that we just did, what have you been watching? It could be a movie, a TV show.
Star Trek. I'm very much a diehard Star Trek fan. My tattoo is even in Vulcan.
Really? What does it say in Vulcan?
Infinite
diversity and combination, the old IDIC rule?
Yes, infinite diversity and infinite combinations.
Very nice. Do you have the symbol that goes along with it with the circle and the triangle?
No, I have it in full rainbow Vulcan calligraphy.
Very nice. Okay, so you like Star Trek. What else do you like to watch?
A movie that I recently watched that just sort of fell into my view was 3,000 Years of Longing. It is with Tilda Swinton, and she comes up against a genie and releases a genie played by Idris Elba. And it is a combination story about a modern woman dealing with the pressures of society and loneliness and understanding your own true desires, while also repeated stories of the past. And we get to see the genie's journey through his different masters. And it was just so well done.
That does sound good. And that's a really impressive cast right there. So, they don't sign on to bad movies. Let's end this with a listen. It could be music, it could be a podcast, maybe an audiobook.
I'm a big podcast listener.
Okay, so what podcasts are you listening other than the ones on the East Brunswick Public Library podcast network? Because we don't want to be too self-promoting and have too many shameless plugs in this.
My two favorite podcasts are the Glass Cannon Network. In addition to being a science fiction fantasy reader, I am a gamer. Mm-hmm. And the Glass Cannon Network plays live actual tabletop role-playing games of all different kinds. Pathfinder, Dungeons and Dragons, Blades in the Dark, you name it, they've tried it. Absolutely fantastic cast. I've seen them live 4 times. Got tickets to see them again this year. And I also really like Maintenance Phase. Maintenance Phase is a debunking medical and health podcast where they take common tropes like the BMI or 10,000 steps, and they discover, why is this a thing? Why do people still follow it? And then they share all of the research and documentation behind those decisions. Absolutely fascinating.
That does sound interesting. What was like the most shocking, surprising thing you heard on that?
I think for me, the most shocking was their episode on Weight Watchers.
Okay.
As someone who went through the entire Weight Watchers program and gave them lots of money and lots of time.
Okay. And you're speaking to someone who's also done it too. So go on.
So it was hard to hear that some of the things that I clung to in order to achieve certain goals were not exactly rooted in science, and that there were a lot of other motivations behind the company besides what is best for everyone. And it was personally difficult to hear.
Well, 2 things. If you're listening, Oprah, we still love you.
Actually, they have an episode on Oprah too.
No, I don't think I can listen to that. She's on my Mount Rushmore of really cool people. So maybe I'll skip that one. But I can kind of get to what you're seeing and stuff too, is that it's always very hard when you peek behind the curtain or how the sausage is made. And so.
Exactly.
Was there anything musical that you like to listen to?
Oh, goodness. That's a can of worms. I'm a musician myself.
What do you play?
My other tattoo is a G clef on my neck.
Okay.
I play piano, sax, flute, clarinet, and I sing opera.
That's a interesting combination. Did you want to be a professional opera singer, or was that just something that you picked up along the way?
That's not easily answered as yes or no. I started as clarinet, tried different instruments, discovered opera in college, and did seriously consider pursuing a career as a professional opera singer, but decided that the consistent paycheck was something that was more attractive to me as someone who definitely wanted a family, definitely prefers stability. So I stood at that crossroads and decided that I will sing on the side when I can, and I do, and I still perform occasionally, but I like paychecks.
And who doesn't? Because it allows us to do all this fun stuff. So I think we covered a lot of ground today. Carina, it was great getting to catch up with you and learn more about you and some book reviews. We talk about Star Trek, which is always a good thing, and Oprah, which is a personal hero of mine. So I know you have a really cool website. I'm going to give a plug for it. Visit her online at www.librariancarina.com. All of Carina's recommendations are going to be in the notes. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
That's it. Just keep reading, keep watching, keep listening, people.
That's going to pretty much wrap it up for us. If you want to listen to more great podcasts from the East Brunswick Public Library, you can visit us online at ebpl.org/podcast. For our producer, Melissa Hosick, who has been working to make this series sound so good, thank you. And for East Brunswick Public Library, I'm Chris Barnes. Thanks for listening.